Today our still life subject is going to be a peach and a slice of peach and the leaves. So today we're going to have 3 parts to our sketch. And we're actually going to be making 2 drawings, but we'll get to that step later. So to help us get started, we want to look at our subject, the peach, just like we looked at the banana, we looked at the flower blossom, we looked at the shoe and the shoelaces. And so one of the things that we notice is that the slice of peach is about the same size as the peach. Okay, it came from a whole peach and they're the same size. So how would we compare that to the size of the leaf? Well, let's take the size of the peach. Oh my gosh, the leaf is bigger than the size of the peach. So we're going to kind of keep those things in mind today while we're drawing. To sort of get us started, we're going to use a prop, and I'm using the same cup that I used in our first assignment of our intersecting circles, and so it's my medium-sized circle. So before you start drawing, I will want you to go get a cup or to have one ready. And so I want to think about placement on the page. So the peach slice, the peach and the leaves are all going horizontally. So the first thing is I want to be sure that my paper is going the same direction. The second thing is natural instinct is to plop the cup or our peach right in the center, and that would be representing this peach. But that's not very interesting. So instead of starting right here in the center, I'm going to move it over just a little bit and make a light circle. And so I'm just going to get started. Now, you will also notice that the bottom of the peach slice also is a curve. So I'm going to use my cup again, and I want to look. If we notice the bottom of the slice is in front of the peach itself. So they overlap. This one, when we draw it, is going to be lower on our page, so it seems closer to the viewer, and this one is behind. So to do that, I'm looking where my peach is. It's a little more to the right, and it's lower on the page. And I'm not going to draw the whole circle of the cup, but I'm going to get the curve for the bottom of the peach, so I have an idea about where I will start that. And again, I'm drawing pretty light. We're going to be drawing over the top. When we're finished, we won't see that much. Okay? The next thing I want to map out is what direction do the leaves go and where are the leaves going to be placed. So I want to look at the stem and how it comes into the center of the peach. So it's in the center of the peach and it kind of goes down inside, but it's not down here in the middle, it's up here close to the top. And so I can just put a little dot on my paper, not a big dot, not a really black dot, but just kind of, and that might be a little bit low, but that gives me an idea of where it starts. And I want to look at how the stem grows. So it goes up, and again, the curve of the peach, I'm not going to use my cup to do the leaf. Remember, we talked about the leaf, the slice is this big, the peach is this big, and the leaf is longer. So looking at my paper, I have the slice, I have the peach, I have the first leaf. So it's going to be pretty long, and it kind of arcs. So I'm just going to put, it's like I'm building a skeleton for my leaf. Okay? Then the next leaf comes behind, and again, it kind of overlaps, and it hangs out, it goes out further. It almost seems to be longer than the first leaf. And then I have this last leaf comes out a little bit and is going to come up here. Okay, now you'll notice my lines are very light, so I'm going to draw over the top, and those lines will kind of disappear when we're done. Just like with the banana, we're going to ignore the shadow that the peaches make on the table. Today, one of the things that's most important is going to be texture. So if we look at the slice of the peach, we're really going to try to capture this bumpy line here at the edge of the peach. But the whole top of the peach slice is not bumpy. It's smooth here, a little bumpy, a lot bumpy, and smooth. And then we kind of have this end. So it's a little bit like a bird beak or the end of a Viking ship. If we think about things, objects that we see, it will help us do our drawing because it helps us kind of click into that visual mind. All right? So, we next want to look at the angle. This is not horizontal like the edge of my paper. So what is the angle of the peach slice? So let's just kind of lightly get that going in. So I'm thinking about the angle, and I think I'm ready to start. I don't want to start down here on the edge. We're going to start in the center with the details. So I'm going to start right up here with this part on the top. So I want to look about how far this is in from my peach slice. And I'm going to start with that textured edge that kind of comes down a little bit, and it's bumpy, really bumpy. And then I'm going on the slant, and I have that little peak. And the bottom of the peach slice is not totally flat or totally circular, and it's going to come up and comes back over here. Okay, so now here's my peach slice. But look, there's part of the slice here that is the skin. So now I'm going to start up here and add the back of the peach. And I'm looking at the edge. Remember, we want most of our time, and I want most of my time to be looking at my subject. It's not that I'm not looking at the paper, but I'm going to draw a little bit and look a lot. Draw a little bit, look a lot. Okay, so there's the basic form of my peach. And now I want to try to capture some of these ribs. This is where the seed was, and so it has these kind of ridges, and again, very textured. So I'm going to start back up here on this next ridge line. It's a pretty distinctive ridge, so my line has to be a little bit wiggly, and it comes up. And now I'm going to start back at the same place and do the ridge that's in front of it. Today we're creating 2 line drawings, so I'm not going to add much texture, but you'll notice that we have these kind of faded colors. This is a white peach, so the color is very light. If this was a yellow peach, it would be a little darker. So we might want to put, I might want to put just a little bit of an indicator about where, and again, I'm using, remember how we use the tip, the side of our pencil, not the tip. So there's just that kind of ruby red shading there, and then there's a little dip here right at the end of the peach. So I want to be sure that I have indicated where that little ridge or that little shadow area is, and so I'm just going to indicate it like that for now. All right, I may come back and work on this some more. But now I'm ready to look at where this overlaps the peach. That's where I'm going next. And I'm going to look right here, okay? So I'm looking at the peach. Here's the slice. I'm looking at halfway, so I have to decide where the slice is. The peach doesn't start over here, it starts here. So I want to follow that edge and look at my drawing. Now, a peach is not a perfect circle. It kind of flattens out on top and it has this dip in the middle. But I'm going to start with this edge right here and draw up to the leaf. And I'm looking. So it's circle-like, but it is not a circle. And I'm going to stop to where I kind of sketched out that leaf. And I'm going to follow through just like we did with the banana skins. I'm going to draw with my pencil a little bit up from the paper. Pick up that. And now when I look at the peach, the back part is here, and now I've got this dip in the middle. So I'm going to come to where my dot was from my center. And I'm going to bring that around till that touches. Okay, now if we look, you'll notice I'm not exactly on that circle line, and that's totally fine. But I wanted to capture that this is behind and this part of the peach comes out. All right, and now I'm going to go back to the center and put in a little bit of this dimple. Sometimes we call that a shoulder. Apples have it too. Okay, so now the next step is before we go to the leaf, let's take a look at the color on the peach. Maybe you've noticed when you're in the country that sometimes you'll see the silver foil on the ground. That is to give this peach a suntan. So if we look at the peach itself, we'll see this kind of light yellowish shape. That is where, when this peach was hanging on the tree, another piece of fruit or a leaf was casting a shadow here. So this part of the peach is lighter because it did not get the suntan. So before we go to the leaf, I might want to just lightly look at that shape and just lightly sketch where that shape is. Okay? After we draw our leaves, I might come back and add some shadow marks. This leaf has a distinctive shadow, but let's get the main parts of our peach done first. Just like with our shoelaces and our banana peel, I'm going to start with the leaf that's first. So I'm looking at the center and I'm going to follow this edge. I want to pay special attention to how far up from the center of the peach the leaf comes. What is the kind of curve of that edge? Is it slow? Is it fast? And it curls around. Okay? So I'm following that edge. Now I need to finish the stem. It's not skinny like the width of a pencil. The stem comes up. And actually, I'm going to stop for a moment because I want you to notice that when the stem comes up, the stem kind of transfers into this center vein. Okay? So I'm going to finish that center vein. And then in some places the vein kind of disappears because of the light and the shadow, and it also curves around. So remember, I don't have to have the same pressure on my pencil the whole time. Okay, now I can't really see the back side of the leaf here where the stem is. It starts at a different spot on the leaf. So I'm coming off the center and I'm following that edge, which has more curves or different curves than the front edge of that leaf. Okay, now my two lines don't connect. So now it's important that I go to my leaf and I see what I'm missing, what is longer. So just like with our shoelaces, it twisted over, and so now I'm going to see a back side of the leaf and a front side of the leaf. And I'm not sure that that's Looks kind of strange there, so I'm going to adjust this a little bit and come back. And I'm going to use my eraser to just lighten that a little bit, and that looks a little more natural. Okay, so now the next leaf starts, and the stem is going underneath. So I'm starting back here at my little dimple, and it's going underneath my first leaf, and it's traveling through, and I'm following that edge. And now when I get down here, I notice that this edge of this peach leaf really shows kind of a serrated edge. Okay, all right, so I followed that front edge, and now I'm going to go to the back side, and this is the vein. On this leaf, I see the back side of the vein, and I'm going to draw the back side of the leaf that I see, so it's twisting over. So here's the back side, and now I see a little bit of the front side here. And again, I'm coming underneath. It's not just a pencil line, so I'm adding some thickness to the stem. And that brings me to my last leaf. The last leaf is going off in a different direction. So I'm going to follow that mapping, and I'm starting with that edge. And it's overlapping or being overlapped by the first leaf. So that is this first edge. Okay? Right off this curve, I see a little piece of the front, and then I see that becoming the vein on the back side of the leaf, and it's a big kind of arch. On this leaf, I see just a tiny piece of the leaf, and I'm going backwards, which feels awkward to me, so if you start to draw it, it feels awkward, stop, and it's certainly okay to come the other direction, and that's a little better. So I'm going to do a little editing there. Lighten that line just a little bit. And change the angle. Okay, so now I have my leaves. I have the peach, I have this, and before we add the shadow that our front leaf is casting on the peach, I'm going to hold it up so you can get a better view. And before we go to our next step, I want us to add this shadow. So the peach is curved, the shadow is curved, so the shadow starts right up here on the shoulder, and then it kind of disappears. So I started it up here on the shoulder, it's bold, and then it kind of disappears. Okay? All right. Now for the magic. We're going to need to make our drawings just a little bit darker. So if I have some lines that are light, I'm going to darken those a little bit. And we're going to take our paper that we folded in half and fold it on top. Your next step is to take it to a window and trace your drawing. So we're going to have another drawing that looks just like this one. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and talk about shading.